Hey friends, happy Wednesday. My name is Jamie Brooke, and I'm honored today to have been invited to speak here at the first annual Design Your Existence Mental Wellness Summit. I've been checking the lineup of the speakers this week, and wow, I'm super pumped to be a part of this. Who else is excited? Let me know in the comments who's excited to be here. Thank you to Tina for organizing this event. This is my first time speaking at an event like this, and I am blown away and impressed at the organization of the event over the last few months and just the excitement and all of the people that, contributed to make this a success. So thank you all. As mentioned in my bio and intro, I'm a certified nutritional therapy practitioner, and I absolutely love empowering and teaching others how to take back their health through or improve their health through nutrient-dense real whole foods. And we're going to talk more about what that means. I support my clients in a number of ways. I teach a small group nutrition education program called Restart that I absolutely love. It is my most popular program. I will talk more about that later on in the presentation. I also work one-on-one with clients. I just launched a teen wellness nutrition program, which is going great. I love it. And I also I have a Facebook group that I post, wellness tips and what I'm eating, pictures of meals, nutrition information, and all of that jazz. And I'm also over on Instagram at Jamie Brooke Wellness. So let's connect. And I will throw those links in the comments when we are finished. This video is actually pre-recorded. I am going to be honest, I am not the best multitasker. So this is actually perfect because while this is recorded, I am live here in the comments to answer any questions or, post resources if needed. So just, holler in the comments if you need anything. And let's get started. All right. Screen share. Here we go. Okay, foundations of nutritional therapy. What is nutritional therapy? Before we begin, this presentation is for educational purposes only. It is not intended to diagnose, treat, or mitigate disease. Consult your health professional about new dietary choices or supplements that may interact with any medications that you're currently taking. Now, I have to put that in the beginning, always. Did you know what you eat can either harm or support your mental health? Did you know that what you eat can either harm or support your health, right? In general, for sure. But today we are talking about mental health. And it is absolutely true that what we consume, the nutrients, hopefully, that we are getting in, does support our mental health and overall health and well-being. There's power in nutrition. The nutrients that we need to thrive, we can get in our food. We can optimize accessibility to those nutrients through lifestyle and through other nourishing foods. So we'll talk more about that. There's power in nutrition. It is changing lives every day. You have the power to change your world, for sure. Food can either be the greatest form of medicine or the slowest form of poison. How many of you guys have heard that quote before? It's one of my favorites. It's Anne Wigmore. If you are a foodie like me and you follow a lot of, nutrition / wellness Instagrammers or, social media peeps, you've probably seen it. So let's get back to nutritional therapy. What is it? So nutritional therapy is a foundational holistic approach to wellness that focuses on allowing the body to heal itself through a properly prepared, nutrient-dense, whole food diet and a well-balanced lifestyle. Because while nutrition is my jam, I consider it to be a piece of the health and wellness pie. it's a big piece, but we also need to look at stress. We need to look at sleep. We need to look at, who are we surrounding ourselves with? What kind of energy? I mean, I know we have a lot of energy people here, right? We need to be very conscious of the people that we are around, the media that we're consuming, and so forth. It's a big piece. Bioindividuality is also a huge piece of nutritional therapy and a cornerstone of my practice. And basically what that means is we all are coming in with different needs, different backgrounds. Some of us are coming in with, different health conditions, different struggles. We're coming in with food sensitivities. We're coming in, with different food preferences. We're coming in from different cultural backgrounds. We are different ages. We're men, we're women. Some of us are athletic, some of us are not. And the list goes on. So there is no one size fits all diet. And, as much as there are a lot of people out there that are, so gung-ho about their way of eating, and I get it, you're passionate, you want to share it with everybody. But the reality is it doesn't work for every single person because we are all coming in with different needs and we have different situations going on. There's no one size fits all diet, but there are some things that are foundational for everyone. These are 6 areas that I focus on with my clients, regardless of where they are in their health journey or what they're struggling with. Because I can tell you that regardless of what they're coming in with, these are very, very common, action points or focuses that we dive into. Nutrient-dense whole food diet, eating real whole foods. And we're going to talk more about what that means. Optimizing digestion, because listen, guys, you can be eating all of the whole, real, nutrient-dense foods out there, but if your digestion is compromised, you're not efficiently and effectively breaking down those foods so that you can access the nutrients and absorb them properly, then it's not what we want, right? We want to make sure that we are absorbing, utilizing those nutrients. So we need to optimize digestion. Blood sugar regulation, huge. There are so many people walking around with blood sugar imbalance. And, there are a lot of younger people walking around actually that are pre-diabetic and don't even know it. So, these 2 areas, digestion and blood sugar regulation, I take a deeper dive into those topics in my Restart class, which is my small group program, and also with individual clients. Today, we are going to be talking more about these other areas and how to build a nourishing plate, and also which nutrients to focus in on when we are talking about mental health support. Essential fatty acid balance is also very important. Healthy fats are critical to optimal health. They play so many important roles in the body and the processes in our bodies. Vitamins and minerals, we are going to get those through a real whole food diet. And then hydration, of course, which we will talk a little bit more towards the end of the presentation. All right, whole food rule. And we're not talking about Whole Foods, the store, even though there are a lot of Whole Foods in Whole Foods. What is a whole food? What is a real food? How is it found in nature? Should be the question that you ask yourself. So I put together this little side-by-side, thinking of whole foods as found in nature. So think of an apple, right? You can pick it from the tree and eat it. It is in its natural state. A fish, you go fishing, catch a fish, cook it. That's a real whole food. Corn, potatoes, blueberries, chickens, right? So even though chicken and fish, I guess, there's like a process, you're chopping it up, you're skinning it and all that good stuff before you eat it, but it's a 1 ingredient food. And also cold pressed oils. So we're talking about, cold pressed olive oils or unrefined cold pressed coconut oil. There's not a lot of steps in the processing from the time you buy it from when it was made, essentially. There's not a whole lot of steps, a whole lot of harsh mechanisms that go into the production of these particular products. So let's look at the processed food. And again, this is a side by side. So you're looking at apple versus apple juice, fish versus fish sticks, peanuts versus a peanut butter cup. So you get the gist, right? These are packaged foods. They usually have a nutrition label on there, an ingredient list. And as a side note, always read the ingredient list first. The ingredients list is usually where the truth is. Yeah, we'll talk a little bit more about that later, but it's really where you can find a lot of information that you're not going to be able to find in the nutritional box. All right. Now, oh, and I am not saying that, you know, you should never, ever, ever eat processed foods. You know, I get it. I'm a mom of 2 kids. Sometimes, you know, it happens. And I actually enjoy taking them out for an ice cream cone at my local creamery here and there. You know, it's not about perfection. It's about progress, and it's about knowing how to read ingredients, knowing how to choose the foods that are going to be the less inflammatory, and just knowing where they come from and how they're made, and minimizing the amount that you're taking in terms of processed foods. All right. How many of you guys have heard of the SAD diet? Let me know in the comments. So it's interesting and appropriate today, since we are talking about mental health, that the SAD diet is just not an ideal diet. It's actually an acronym, SAD, for Standard American Diet, characterized by highly processed foods, refined carbohydrates, added sugars, refined inflammatory fats or oils, and artificial ingredients. Unfortunately, we really are overfed and undernourished. That's such a powerful statement when you think about it. We have access to so many foods 24/7, right? But yet we are struggling as a society. We are very, very sick. We are, our health outcomes are terrible. And most of us are deficient in a number of different nutrients. So again, it's lower in nutrients, it's lower in fiber, low in antioxidants. It promotes inflammation in our bodies. It promotes weight gain and obesity, increases risk for heart disease, diabetes, digestive disorders, and on and on. So many different conditions that we are dealing with today that we didn't deal with, 50, 60 to 80 years ago. So let's talk about nutrient density. What are we looking for when we are building a plate or choosing foods at the grocery store or the farmer's market? So I am assuming that many of you are familiar with macronutrients. There was a time when counting fat grams was all the rage, I guess. And then counting calories, right? That's kind of phased out a bit. And now many people are counting macros. So macronutrients they come into 3 categories, right? So you have your protein, your fat, and your carbohydrates. Your micronutrients, think micro, small, or your smaller nutrients. So your vitamins, minerals, and phytonutrients, which are various compounds that are found mostly in beautifully colored different types of fruits and vegetables. Every single color represents a different healing compound in that food. So this is where the eat the rainbow phrase came from, and why it's important to get variety in. So when I talk to clients about macronutrients, again, our proteins, fats, and carbohydrates, I like to use analogies. I like to use analogies with a lot of things, actually. So I like to teach this with an analogy of a campfire. So imagine sitting around a campfire and you are going to try to build this, or actually maybe you're about to sit around a campfire. You need to build this campfire, right? So how do you start a campfire? How do you start a fire? Typically, do you use the long, thick logs to start it? No. you usually use kindling, right? The small twigs and leaves and thinner pieces of wood, right? So you pile those up and light it, and usually there's this burst of flame, right? And it's huge and it's beautiful, but it doesn't stay long. It doesn't stay up there long, right? It quickly comes down. This is where I want you to think of carbohydrates as being sort of like that, right? There are quick fire starters. There are quick energy bursts. So, there's this big burst of energy, usually or slightly, and then within an hour, you're wanting more of something, right? You're hungry. It just didn't do enough for you. Fat, on the other hand, are the logs. They are going to be your slow burning fuel source, right? So after we get that fire started a little bit, we add these bigger logs, and the logs burn for hours. So we can actually sit around the fire and enjoy it and talk to our friends without having to, every 5 minutes, run and add more kindling to the fire, right? So if we are sugar burners, if we eat a lot of foods that are higher in carbohydrates or higher in sugar, this is often the pattern. We are hungry within an hour of eating a meal that is higher in carbohydrates than fat and protein. We want snacks more often. We get cravings more often. And we just keep having to feed our body that kindling, that, those carbohydrates that don't last very long. But if we add the nourishing fats in and the quality protein in, and we get enough of it, then the idea is that you would be able to last several hours without craving, sugar, without being hungry an hour later or having to snack. And that's really where we want to be. We want to be able to, allow our bodies to rest and digest in between meals without having to graze all the time or snack, right? How many of you guys are grazers? I know there's a lot of you out there. I can be a grazer. When I become a grazer, I have to really, reflect and look at, what did I eat for lunch? Did I not get enough protein? Did I not get enough fat? Because why am I hungry? All right. And I like to throw protein in. It can be used as a source of fuel for an emergency, but typically we're utilizing that protein for structure. So structure, it's the most valuable for supporting the growth and repair of muscles, hormones, enzymes, and antibodies. Okay. Best to choose from whole food forms, and I'll show you some of those forms in a second. Aim to eat protein with every meal. I'll tell you, clients come in, particularly women, and they are not eating enough protein. They think they are, and it ends up that they're really not. And to be honest, a lot of times, and again, particularly women, aren't eating enough in general, and they think they're eating too much, which is interesting, right? So proteins break down into amino acids, which our bodies use for fuel. There are 20 amino acids, 9 of which are essential. So anytime you see the word essential in front of a nutrient, it means that our bodies cannot produce these specific nutrients, and we must get them from food. So in this case, essential amino acids mean that we have to get these specific amino acids from our foods. And which foods do we get amino acids from? Protein. So I will talk more about that in a little while, because amino acids are also important in relation to supporting our mental health. Here are some examples of quality protein. Can you guys give me an example that's maybe not listed on here as a quality protein that you enjoy in the comments? What are some of your faves? So here we have salmon, we have a steak. Both of those are super nutrient dense. You have omega-3s in the fish and seafood. You have iron and lots of other great minerals in that. Red meat, you have poultry, you have legumes, you have eggs, and eat the yolks, guys. Don't leave the yolks out. Nutritional powerhouses, those eggs. We have quinoa, beans, nuts, seeds, grass-fed dairy. All right, so let's move on to fat. Fat is, in the campfire analogy, the slow burning logs. So this is slow burning fuel, right? This is ideally what we want. We need fat for the absorption of fat-soluble vitamins. We need them to create healthy hormones and to help in balancing those hormones. We need healthy fats to help manage and control inflammation in our body. We need healthy fats to support the growth and repair of cells, brain health, hair and skin health. So like proteins break down into amino acids, fats break down into fatty acids that we can use for fuel. And fats also slow down the absorption of food for proper energy regulation. They also help manage blood sugar. So, if you're eating an apple, pair it with some nut butter or some sweet potato, put a little grass-fed butter on the top. Here are some quality sources of animal fats, or I'm sorry, healthy fats. Here's some quality sources of whole food sources. Animal fats are one of those sources. Other examples, coconut butter and oil, nuts and seeds and oils, avocados and olives, full fat organic dairy, preferably from pasture-raised cows. Or if you're open to it and you have access, talk to local farmers in your area, see where you can source some raw milk, unpasteurized, complete intact nutrients in raw milk. The enzymes are in there to help you break down that lactose. It really is a perfect food if you can tolerate dairy. And in actuality, some people that can't tolerate pasteurized dairy can tolerate raw dairy because it does have those enzymes to help you break down the lactose and other enzymes to help you break down the proteins in the milk that are actually destroyed during pasteurization. So if you'd like to learn more about that, let me know in the comments. I can send you some resources. Fish and eggs, okay? Healthy fats in there. And here are some examples, some visuals. I'm a visual learner. How many of you guys are visual learners? I like pictures. So we have salmon, sardines, grass-fed butter again, seeds, nuts, egg yolks, olives, avocados, and coconuts. I love avocados. I love all of this stuff. I've had to learn how to like sardines. I was just like, they're so nutritious. I need to incorporate them somehow. So I will chop them up, anchovies too, and like mix them in with tuna salad or into like a Caesar salad, like do it up, like chop it up small. There's a lot of recipes out there that you can kind of mix them into other things and not really taste them. Okay, so let's talk about fats that we should be avoiding. Many of us could use some work in the inflammation area. We really want to reduce inflammation in our body. So one way of doing that is to not consume inflammatory foods. So many of the industrial fats that are found in our processed foods are quite inflammatory. So we're looking at like your corn, soybean, vegetable oils, anything with hydrogenated in front of it. So if you look at the ingredients list on, whatever you were buying, if it's a packaged food or just an oil in a bottle, look to see if these products contain these oils. Anything hydrogenated, you should pass on that. And a lot of these oils are added to foods that we really don't necessarily need them added to, like peanut butter, different tomato sauces, things that there are options where you can buy it without those oils. So always pay attention to those ingredients labels. These particular oils there's just so many steps in the process of production. And often there are harsh chemicals used. They're deodorized, bleached, hexane is used. They basically just denature everything about this oil from its starting point, or this fat from its starting point. It's one of the first things in working with clients that I talk about and encourage them to remove, actually, is swapping out their fats for their more inflammatory fats for the more nourishing fats. All right, carbohydrates. Okay, so just like the proteins break down into amino acids, your fats break down into fatty acids, right? The carbohydrates are going to break down into sugars or glucose. that your body can use for fuel. Okay. So processed sugar, so your white sugar, refined sugar, a lot of the sugar that's added to a lot of our processed foods is unnourishing. It really isn't offering you anything from a nutritional standpoint. It's tasty, right? And, you know, I eat sugar. I'm not anti-sugar. I just think it's really important to be mindful of how much sugar you're taking in. And even, you know, with reading ingredients and really minimizing or even removing foods that have unnecessary added sugar to it is going to cut down on your sugar intake a lot. So some culprits would be like your salad dressing, your you know, tomato sauces, even like beef jerky sometimes has sugar added to it. So, you know, look for options that don't have added sugar. And there are options out there. There are no essential carbohydrates. So remember a few minutes ago, I talked about how there are essential fatty acids that we have to get from food and we need them to thrive. There are essential amino acids that we need to get from proteins that we need to thrive. There are no essential carbohydrates. So our body actually makes enough glucose to run. And now, I'm not saying you shouldn't eat carbohydrates. I love carbohydrates. I love plant foods. You know, so, you know, they're definitely, they can be a part of a healthy, well-rounded diet, particularly if you're getting them from whole food veggie sources. But, you know, it's just good to know that you're not going to harm yourself just by reducing carbohydrates. Inconsistent sugar levels disrupt balance. So again, back to that blood sugar regulation, really something that I encourage you guys to learn more about. I will post some helpful links and even a couple of TED Talks in the comments that I share with clients all the time that explains, you know, how the pancreas works and insulin and, you know, how our bodies are always trying to keep our body or everything in our body in balance. It's really important. So when it comes to real whole food carbohydrates, so, you know, most of us think of carbohydrates as potatoes and squash and beans and rice, which yes, they are. But did you know that all plant foods are carbohydrates? All of them, okay? I like to think of them as, or into two categories, starchy carbs and non-starchy carbs. So your non-starchy carbs or veggies, because I like to get most of my carbohydrates from veggies. Here's some examples. So you have cabbage, cucumber, carrots, cauliflower, asparagus, spinach, lettuce greens, beets, and so on. So a lot of people wouldn't consider these vegetables carbs, right? But they are. They just have a lower amount of carbohydrate. They're typically higher in fiber, and they have little impact on your blood sugar. So they're not going to send your blood sugar up the roller coaster like a lot, you know, some other carbohydrates would if we eat a lot of them. And they pack in many nutrients. So fill up your plate, get seconds. They're delicious. And there's so many different ways to prepare them. Starchy carbohydrates, or in this case, vegetables, right? Corn, potatoes, peas, squash, like butternut and delicata. They tend to be lower in fiber depending on which ones we're talking about. Sweet potatoes actually, they do have a bit of fiber in there, and I love adding them into my food life. They're higher in carbohydrates, so they do contain more calories, and they have a much greater impact on our blood glucose. So, you know, and again, back to bioindividuality. For some of us, eating a whole baked sweet potato will send our blood sugar through the roof. For other people, it won't. It'll maybe spike it up a little and then it comes back down. We are all different. So I encourage you to learn about which foods, you know, you're more reactive to when it comes to blood sugar. You can actually purchase a glucometer, you know, it's pretty inexpensive on Amazon or at your local pharmacy, and test your glucose after you eat certain foods to see how you respond. Okay, and then yeah, here's a little tip, trying to limit starchy veggies to a quarter or less of your plate. And we're going to talk more about what your plate ideally could look like if you're trying to get in those nutrients that we're talking about. So some examples of whole food carbs: sweet potatoes, one of my faves, fruit, root veggies like beets, soaked and sprouted grains like oatmeal, winter squash, and you have lentils. What are some other whole food carbs that you guys like? Let me know in the comments. Okay, so again, we're not going to take a deep dive here into blood sugar regulation. I do that in my Restart program and with individual clients. To be honest with you guys, I did dive into it a little bit, and I made a video like this last night, and it went way over on time. So I had to, trim some of the fat, so to speak. But even what I did remove, it wasn't as deep of a dive as I take with my clients and my Restart participants. But I do encourage everyone, again, to learn about it. Learn how your body works, because knowledge is power. And when you do learn the physiology and the biochemistry behind it all, it does help us to make more informed decisions when it comes to properly nourishing our bodies. So here are some symptoms of possible blood sugar imbalance: getting shaky when you skip a meal, snacking all day or wanting to snack all day, getting really sleepy after meals, always thinking about the next meal. So again, it's that not really feeling satisfied between meals, and just always wanting sugar all the time. Blood sugar regulation and digestion are two of my favorite topics to talk about. It's really fascinating and so important to our overall well-being. So here are some low-carb snack ideas. You have all kinds of things here, from dairy like yogurt and cheese to nuts and seeds. And there's artichoke hearts there, which are actually really high in fiber. Avocados, another favorite of mine. Grapefruit, egg salad, tuna salad. All of these are pretty nutritious options. And there's a lot of variety here, which is really important. Are there any other, do any of you guys like any of these options? Are they part of your food life? Are there any others that aren't on the list? Let me know in the comments. What are some lower sugar or lower carbohydrate snacks that you like? Vitamins and minerals, essential vitamins and minerals, right? So these are things that we must get from food. Vitamins are necessary for hundreds of chemical reactions in our body. Plants, organ meats. Yes, organ meats. Did you guys know that our ancestors actually used to ditch the muscle meats, which is what most of us eat mainly, right, of the animal, and really prioritize and they would go for the organ meats, because organ meats like liver, heart, kidneys, they have so many, talk about nutrient dense, higher levels of nutrients, various vitamins and minerals than the muscle meats do. So when we're talking about vitamins, we're looking at water-soluble vitamins and fat-soluble vitamins. So water-soluble vitamins, B vitamins, 8 of them work together. And this is another important thing to remember, guys, is that vitamins and minerals, or nutrients in general, they don't work alone. They work together. So what I mean by that is there are specific vitamins and minerals that need other vitamins and minerals to basically become activated or to help them do their jobs, to help with the absorption of those vitamins and minerals. So many of them are synergistic, working together. There are some, however, that are antagonistic. So they do not work together. They actually compete with each other. And those are important things to be mindful of, because if we are over supplementing with a vitamin or a mineral, we can actually, without knowing it, reduce greatly another vitamin or mineral that's important that we need. So I actually have this really cool chart that has all the minerals and which ones they work with and which ones they compete with. It's pretty fascinating. So with fat-soluble vitamins, we need fat to be able to absorb these vitamins, A, D, E, and K. Not many people know that. But when you think of various foods in nature that are high in these vitamins A, D, E, and K, many of those sources are from animals. And those particular food sources have fat in them. And that's not by accident. Nature doesn't make mistakes. They are designed with fat, and they're higher in these fat soluble vitamins so that you can better access those vitamins and actually be able to absorb them. Pretty cool, huh? Your water soluble vitamins, we do need to replenish. So we do not store many of them. Minerals work in synergy, work together to balance pH in the body, transfer nutrients across cell membranes, right? So again, working together to make sure those nutrients are getting into our cells. Support proper nerve conduction. I know that, or I'm assuming that many of you are familiar with, for example, the mineral magnesium, right? And helping us with, a lot of people that have restless leg syndrome or get cramps, it can be helpful. Magnesium has so many different beautiful roles that it plays in the body. Supporting proper nerve conduction, contracting and relaxing muscles, and providing structural and functional support in our bodies. I love this side note that minerals only make up about 4% of our body, but they have hundreds of roles. We absolutely need them. We cannot live without them. Sources of minerals, leafy green veggies. So those dark leafy greens, chard, kale, collard greens, various lettuces. I love bok choy. My daughter is actually her favorite. So we love chopping it up in a pan, adding in a little ghee, which is clarified butter, and coconut aminos, which is, for those of you that aren't familiar, it's a replacement that a lot of people use for soy sauce. So instead of it being derived from soy, it's derived from coconut nectar. So it looks like soy sauce. It's in the similar bottle, shape, size, color. It's a little bit sweeter, but I add it to everything. It's really, really good. Sea salt, and that has minerals. If you get a quality sea salt, like Himalayan pink salt, Redmond's real salt, the iodized, like the Morton salt, has been stripped of minerals. And so it's pretty lacking when it comes to nutrients. But if you get a high quality sea salt, it could have over 80 trace minerals in there. So years ago, we swapped out our table salt for a better salt. Foods from the sea are an excellent source. So zinc and oysters, iodine from seaweed, and other seafood options. Bone broth. How many of you guys have had bone broth before? How many of you guys have made bone broth? So yeah, it is so mineral rich when done right. And you can drink your minerals. It's pretty easy and it's tasty. Great for the immune system. Okay, so nutrients that support mental health. Let's go through some of these quickly. I'm going to check the time. We are good. Let's see. Here we go. All right. So B vitamins. B vitamins are some of the best vitamins actually for mental health. They help fight fatigue. They improve memory. They allow you to function across the board with more clarity. If we are deficient in B vitamins, including B1, which is thiamine, riboflavin, which is B2 or B12, this can lead to depression. There's actually quite a bit of research out there. If you go to PubMed or Cochrane Library, you can research this stuff. It's pretty fascinating. So aside from a depression that deficiencies could lead to, it could also lead to fear and anxiety, irritability. As far as sourcing, the foods that have the most bioavailable B vitamins are going to be your animal foods, like meats, especially organ meats, seafood, poultry, eggs, higher quality dairy products. You can also find them in smaller amounts in beans or legumes, dark leafy greens, and seeds. Next, we have magnesium. So a lot of us are familiar with magnesium. It's like a super mineral. Several studies have shown that low magnesium levels are linked with depression. And, we still don't know a lot. We need more research before we can understand exactly how and why magnesium affects mental health. But there is research to support that magnesium regulates gut microbes. How many of you guys have heard of, well, I'm sure like gut health, right? It's a buzzword. So our microbiome, gut flora, gut health, all that great nerdy stuff that I love digging into. So magnesium regulates microbes, gut microbes, which are linked to the hippocampus. And the hippocampus plays a huge part in regulating our stress responses. So there's definitely connection there. Magnesium also plays a part in over 400 chemical reactions in the body. So it's pretty dang important. Next, we have amino acids. So amino acids. So for brain health, having adequate levels of neurotransmitters is key. I'm sure many of you have heard of like dopamine and serotonin. So basically, when you eat a piece of chicken, right, protein that breaks down into amino acids, when we're talking about chicken, L-tyrosine is an amino acid that breaks down into, and that is the precursor or needed to produce dopamine. Low dopamine levels are associated with a whole host of disorders, including depression, addiction, ADHD, Alzheimer's, schizophrenia, and the list goes on. Another amino acid, L-tryptophan, is, I'm like, all these amino acids are in my head. So L-tryptophan, it's found in poultry and fish and dairy and nuts. It's the precursor to serotonin. So these are all of our like happy chemicals, right? Next, we have vitamin D. I know that most of us have heard of vitamin D. Many of us are low in vitamin D, unfortunately. We're not spending as much time out in the sun, and we're not eating a lot of vitamin D rich foods. Again, it's a fat soluble vitamin, so we want to make sure we're eating vitamin D rich foods with enough fat to be able to absorb it. So vitamin D is a key nutrient for the nervous and immune systems. And when we have low levels of vitamin D, that can also be linked to depression. For some people, the deficiency may be so pretty bad, like pretty large. So taking an or a higher quality D3 supplement it works well for a lot of people. I like D3 and K2 combos. I have a couple of brands that I do like. So if any of you have any questions about that, I can, just reach out to me in the comments and I can help you there. Let's see. Well, let's just move on to omega-3s. We did talk a little bit about it, but these are essential fatty acids. Again, essential. We need to get them from food. We can get them from supplementation, but I do encourage you to speak with somebody that, is experienced and knows their stuff, knows their supplements, because quality is so key. Not only, especially when you're talking about delicate fats like omegas, but just with all supplements. It is a loosely regulated industry, and probably 80 to 90%, if not more, of the supplements out there, particularly those that you can just buy from the store, I would not recommend buying. There's a good chance you could be just wasting your money and peeing out those nutrients. And that's a whole different presentation that I could give. But again, I'm here if you have any questions about that. So the best sources of omega-3s are your oily fatty fish. And, we talked about salmon, but also, cold water fish like mackerel, tuna, herring, sardines. And it can also be found in nuts and seeds at lower levels. So flaxseed, chia seeds, walnuts also have omega-3s, and hemp seeds like raw hemp hearts. I love adding those to salads, on top of avocados, on eggs, all that. All right. Checking the time again. Yes, we are rolling. right on time. Okay. So I broke the rule of having too many words on a slide here. But that's okay because, you guys can take a screenshot of it or, it's just sometimes it's cool to have a little bit more information. So eating for mental health. We already talked about the omega-3s. We also have here boosting antioxidant intake. So colorful fruits, your darker berries like blueberries, raspberries, blackberries are going to be higher in antioxidants. Anything purple colored, like your red cabbage, even purple cauliflower, those are going to have more antioxidants. Different vegetables, green tea, leafy greens, dark leafy greens. How many of you guys love dark leafy greens? I feel like it's 50-50. There are people that are like, I don't know. And there's other people that are like, well, I would, but I really don't know how to cook them. Honestly, the next time you go to the grocery store, try something new. I've done this with my kids a lot, pick something new that you don't normally eat. That's not part of the routine, and look up a recipe or just do what I do. I just chop it up, saute it in a large pan with a good fat and some seasonings and like onions and mushrooms or whatever. We love cooking up bok choy, collard greens, chard, sometimes kale. But yeah, it's good stuff. A higher quality olive oil also has a lot of antioxidants in it. And also vitamins A, C, and E act as antioxidants in the body. Reducing inflammatory foods, right? So we talked about that a little bit. Reducing or eliminating refined sugar or added sugars. Gluten can be very inflammatory for a lot of people. Seed oils, fried foods, which are often fried in these inflammatory damaged oils, right? Processed dairy. So as with any food, the more processed it is, the less nutritious it's going to be. And the more inflammatory it's going to be. So, I don't have a lot of time to get into, again, dairy is another whole presentation that I could give. I could talk about food all day long, but we only have an hour. So reach out to me if you want to learn more about that. Artificial anything, guys, I would just say avoid. Okay. Very damaging to your gut health, to microbiome, your immune system. We don't want to give it any more work than what it already is doing, just fighting off these ingredients that our bodies do not recognize, that are not food. It makes sense when you think about it, right? And the great thing is that there's so many options out there, even when it comes to treats like, ice creams or, anything that just do not have artificial ingredients in them. I like Easter was, just a month ago. And even when it comes to chocolates or different candies, there are many options now that do not use artificial colorings and ingredients in them. And then nourishing your microbiome. So increasing your fiber, feeding those good bugs, right? Prebiotics and probiotic rich foods, fermented sauerkraut, or fermented foods in general, but fermented kraut is one of our favorites. We have a big jar in the fridge. I used to make it, but now there's just things I have to outsource because I'm just so busy. I make a lot of my own stuff. But we buy this really large jar of raw cultured fermented kraut from Costco. Wild Brine is the brand. And we just do a scoop on our plate. All the kids love it too. Sometimes they just want a little bowl to eat, but it's probiotic rich. It's good stuff. Your nutrition has a direct impact on mood, cognitive function, and mental health for better or worse. When I have clients that go through my restart program, and they're a couple of weeks into the elimination protocol, yes, they are, their foods, they're feeling much better. Their clothes are fitting looser. Their skin's clearing up. Their digestive issues are, decreasing. But really, they're just like, wow, I just feel better. Like my just the mental clarity. I didn't realize I had so much brain fog going on. I have more energy. I think all of us just want to feel good, right? Okay, so I'm going to show you guys some actual pictures of what my meals tend to look like. And, these are templates that I share with clients as well. So when we are building a plate, this is a very loose guideline. Okay. Again, bioindividuality. The most important thing is to listen to your own body and follow that intuition. Okay. What works for one person is not going to work for the next person. Again, we're all coming in at a different starting point. We have different digestive things going on. We have different sensitivities. We have different activity levels and so on. But this is a general guideline that I like to share, or a starting point. Filling up your plate at least half with veggies, and making most of those veggies non-starchy. So I'll show you some pictures in a second, but going back to that list of like broccoli, cauliflower, lettuces, or a salad, or, mushrooms. And, if you do, like me, feel a little better with starchy carbs in your diet, adding just a small portion of that as like sweet potatoes or squash. Okay. Palm-sized amount of protein. Okay. Or hand-sized, depending on how you feel. If it's a piece of salmon, it might be hand, right? Instead of your palm. And also depending on how thin it is, it's not going to be enough probably if it's your palm size, but it's like paper thin, like a scrambled egg that's flat, right? And by the way, when it comes to eggs, try to get in 3 eggs, guys. Don't eat breakfast. Don't eat 1 egg. Get in enough protein, and also healthy fats. So here's one example. Here we have 50% veggies. So there's the salad there, right? And it's non-starchy. So the green lettuces, palm-sized protein in the salmon, healthy fats with the avocado and the pine nuts, maybe a little bit of olive oil. And then the whole food carbohydrate being the blood orange. It's delicious. It's a citrus fruit, antioxidants in there. Delish. How many of you guys make your own salad dressings? Let me know in the comments. Super easy. And once you do it, guys, I'm sure those of you that do agree, it tastes so much better, so refreshing. You can taste the flavors. And it's just so much easier. It saves a lot of money too. One of my favorites is, olive oil, vinegar, maybe a balsamic or raw apple cider vinegar, a little bit of coconut aminos, a little bit of Dijon mustard, shake it up, boom, yum. All right. A pork chop. So that's my palm-sized protein. It's kind of thick. It looks a little thin on the plate, but if it were a thin pork chop, I'll probably have 2, 50% vegetables, non-starchy carbs, mostly fermented veggies. So there's my kraut. Fermented foods contain living microorganisms or probiotics, crucial to good digestion. And then I have roasted Brussels sprouts here with some walnuts. So I put them on a sheet pan, toss them in a little bit of a good fat, whether that's a high quality olive oil, avocado oil, or ghee, and maybe drizzle a little bit of balsamic. Choices are endless. And then lastly, here's my rainbow plate. I have, again, a fermented kraut up top, red cabbage. I have 2 baked chicken thighs. Love chicken thighs. Purple cauliflower, some chopped spinach that was actually frozen. I keep frozen spinach and other frozen veggies in the fridge as well, for a quick, throw together meal. And then a golden beet. So that's going to be, it's a good variety, right? Mostly non-starchy. The golden beet has a little bit more carbohydrates, but it's, gosh, super rich in nutrients, and delicious. And then you have your protein. Hydration. How many of you guys drink enough water? How many of you guys could probably improve in that area? A lot of people. So how do you know if you're properly hydrated? Smooth, clear, hydrated skin, mental clarity, balanced energy, regular bowel movements, going to the bathroom every day, guys, not once a week. It should be effortless. You get an urge, you go in, you sit down, it comes out, and you're done. I talk about poop all the time with clients, comes with digestion, and also my kids. My kids know the Bristol stool chart, which is a chart of different pictures of different kinds of stool and what each shape means, in terms of your health. Yeah, my kids know, oh, I just had a number 4. It's crazy. So yeah, joint health, inflammation balance, detox, and athletic performance. Did you know that water is the #1 nutritional deficiency? Yeah. It's the primary cofactor in every single physiological function of the body. If the body's water content drops by as little as 2%, you feel tired. And it makes up 60% of our body mass, which is kind of crazy, right? I mean, you guys, water is so critical. Like, we've got to get it in. So whether that's putting out a pitcher on your counter that you can see visually and drink from it throughout the day, carrying a tumbler. I have this tumbler that I take with me. It's actually become like my purse or keys. I take it everywhere. All right, we are coming up on time, so I'm going to wrap it up. I actually have a timer this time. Start improving your mental health and your physical health today. So, these are, again, just a handful of steps that you can start taking now. Baby steps lead to big change. Consistency is key. It's not about perfection. It's about progress. Eating a nutrient-dense whole food diet, primarily, including quality proteins, quality fats, and non-starchy veggies with every meal. Being mindful of those sugars, even the natural sugars. Avoiding and eliminating added sugars. So again, reading your ingredients list if you're buying a packaged food and looking for those added sugars, which, by the way, can have like 70 different names for sugars because the food industry is very savvy and wants to be steps ahead of us, right? So we got to be our own advocates and our own detectives. Hydration, and listening to your body. Listen to it. It sends you signals all the time, AKA symptoms. So think in terms of root cause. Oh, I have a headache. I want to get rid of it ASAP, but I get it. You're in pain, but also ask yourself, why do I have this headache? Did I drink enough water today? Am I getting enough protein, fats, and carbohydrates? What have I been consuming maybe that could be triggering this headache, right? How's my stress level? Am I getting enough sleep? All of those things. There's a reason why you are having whatever symptom you're having. And it's, important to get to the root cause of what's happening. All right. So really quick, I'm going to post some additional information in the comments, but this is my program, Restart. It's a program. It's one of my most popular services or programs I offer. It's a 5-week program. I teach live classes every week via Zoom. So you can be anywhere in the country or out of the country in your pajamas. You just have to click the link and join in. We discuss a different nutrition related topic each week. And there's a 3-week built-in elimination anti-inflammatory protocol within the program. So in addition to the live Zoom classes and the 3-week real food challenge, which is anti-inflammatory, you get small group support, you get coaching, individual support from me throughout the 5 weeks, and you get a cookbook with Restart friendly recipes and nutrition info. Week 1 is all about preparation, food mindset. We get the food list. We talk about our why. Week 2 is digestion, why it's important and critical for optimal health, how to improve it. Week 3 is blood sugar and energy. So we talk about how blood sugar regulation works. We get a little sciencey this week, learn about, the pancreas and insulin and, how our body does its job to keep us balanced, or blood sugar balanced. We also talk about label reading and all the different names for sugar and all of that good stuff. Number 4, week 4 is all about fats. So we talk about nourishing fats versus inflammatory fats, and a little bit of history that comes along with fats and why they were demonized and all of that. And then number 5, week 5 is celebrating your wins, how to move forward with our newfound knowledge and habits integrated into our lives, and how to reintroduce the foods that we've eliminated in the last 3 weeks, and recognizing which foods are triggers for us and so on. That is very fast explanation. I will post more about that in the program. I'm trying to keep within an hour, or in the comments. But I would love to chat with you. These are just some testimonials that I will leave up for a second. but there are more testimonials on my website about Restart. Yeah, the next class starts on Tuesday, June 14th at 7. If you're interested in getting in to this class, mention this event and you'll get $25 off of enrollment. So you can also let me know in the comments if you're interested in learning more about that, or if you're interested in registering, and I will get you in ASAP. Thank you guys so much for joining me today. We are right at 57 minutes, so that's perfect. And I hope we can connect. My website is jamiebrookwellness.com. You can contact me via email, jamiebrookwellness@gmail.com. And there is my phone number, but you can contact me through my website if needed. And I hope to see you guys soon. Have a great day and be well. Bye.